Hello, lords and ladies. Today we're going to look at the failure of appeasement and how appeasement and aggression finally we arrive at World War II, where the Allies just cannot keep giving in. Today we're going to look at three significant events that are acts of aggression, all on the part of the Nazis under Hitler. We're going to look at the Anschluss, which is the union between Austria and Germany, and he literally annexes Austria. We're going to look at the Munich Conference, which involves aggression towards Czechoslovakia. And then we're going to look at the Nazi-Soviet pact, which seems to be a misnomer, right? It can't possibly be in pact between Hitler and the communists because he hates communists. So what were the elements in force in play here? So pause it if you need more time. Okay, we're going to start by looking at what Hitler does with Austria. Now, if you guys remember, hopefully you do, Hitler is Austrian. He's not a German person, okay? He's from Austria. But he viewed Austria and Germany as sister countries. And so what his vision is that he's going to unite these two countries. He actually makes his move in the 30s, throughout the 30s and into 1938. Hitler is making the Austrian chancellor give Nazis government jobs. So he's basically infiltrating the Austrian government at the highest levels with his Nazi operatives. And so what you're seeing happen is when he finally goes in and says, I'm taking Austria, most Austrians are already used to the Nazi presence and they welcome them with open arms. So the Anschluss is uniting Austria and Germany as sister countries, one country now, finally brought back to each other. Hitler sends in his army and that means Austria is taken. So there's no fighting necessarily, though. What he does is it's only people who were going against the Nazis, which is not very many in Austria, who are silenced. And nobody did anything about it. So here you see the Austrians coming in. Britain, France, the US, they all stand by and just watch. They say, well, they are kindred countries. Here's another Austrian welcome for the Nazis. So you're not seeing a group of people who seems terribly upset about what's going on. Fast forward now to Czechoslovakia, and it's going to be a very different story. What we're going to see, there's a portion of Czechoslovakia called the Sudetenland, and I'm going to show it to you on the map. The Sudetenland is part of this country, Czechoslovakia, that was created after World War I. Remember, those lines were drawn on a map at a table, right? And so they did not always take into account the ethnic differences. So what you have happen in Czechoslovakia is that you have a significant population of German people living in an area called the Sudetenland. 3 million Germans to be exact. Hitler decides all Germans need to be under one German flag. They cannot be ruled by what he deems their inferiors. And so he wants to annex the Sudetenland just like he did Austria. Meaning he just wants to add it on to his land. Annex means to add on. Or annex, you can say it either way. So 1938, the Allies are frustrated with him, and so they call this meeting in Munich, and they say to, and it's in Germany, Britain and France say to Hitler, we'll give you the Sudetenland if you then promise that there will be no more expansion. And so the idea here is, we give you a piece of Czechoslovakia so that you stop. Okay, now what did we say about the baby who doesn't get what he wants? Pause it, right? But he doesn't stop. He keeps getting more and more and more. So Sudetenland, you can see, is in the red there. It's a large enough portion of Czechoslovakia that the Czechs are very angry about this. The people sitting at the table that you're going to see represent Britain, France, Germany, and Italy. So you see Mussolini sitting next to Hitler. You see Neville Chamberlain sitting there as well. When Neville Chamberlain gets off the plane and gives his speech about how they just gave the Nazis part of Czechoslovakia, because Winston Churchill is angry about this, but he's not prime minister yet. It's still Neville Chamberlain. Neville Chamberlain says, I have achieved peace for our time. That's in the 1938, and ironically, we know what is coming. Peace is going to be very short-lived indeed. And what most historians accept here is that Neville Chamberlain wanted to avoid war at all costs. He did not want to see a repeat performance of World War I. He felt that Hitler was going to give in and stop asking for things, and he was sorely mistaken. So here's a political cartoon of 1938 in which you see Germany crushing Austria, then Czechoslovakia, and all the way in the back you have the British and the French guy saying, why should we take a stand about someone pushing someone else when it's all so far away? And clearly not seeing the bigger picture that you're all in this together if Hitler keeps getting power. So that's a cartoon of the time. There were people who criticized appeasement, who didn't agree with giving in to Hitler. So, and the loudest proponent of not giving in to Hitler was definitely Neville Chamberlain, especially after this next event that we see happen. In August of 1939, now we know we're close to the outset of war now, Hitler and Stalin, who hate each other, okay, communists and Nazis do not get along, they're not going to be at a picnic together, they publicly announced that they will not fight each other. There will be no aggressive action between Germany and Russia. That's what they tell the public. Secretly, they had said, we won't fight each other when war breaks out, and we'll split Poland. So you get your half, I get mine. And remember, Poland had been created in the aftermath of World War I. Russia had to give up a lot of its territory, as did Germany, and so this is really just trying to get that territory back and working together to do so. The Allies are dubious about this. They're doubtful. They don't understand, and it doesn't make sense to them that Hitler and Stalin would kind of be uniting here. So they're questioning it. Stalin, meanwhile, is not dumb. He knows that he's just buying himself some time. He knows Hitler can't stand him. And so he's just trying to buy his time. You see a political cartoon there. Here's another. Someone is taking someone for a walk, and each one has a pistol in their hand. So clearly the world knew these two guys don't like each other, and so they knew, and so did Hitler and Stalin. They were using each other. So what that allows Germany to do, since they won't have a two-front war, so now they'll just have to worry about fighting with Britain and France, and so Russia will stay out of it for the time being. That's when Hitler decides, I'm going to invade Poland, and that happens in September of 1939. September 1 to be exact. Britain and France then say, we are going to honor our alliances with Poland and we declare war on Germany. This Nazi-Soviet pact is like the last straw because Hitler uses it to then take over Poland, and now the Allies cannot ignore him anymore. They've been humiliated at Munich, humiliated by the annexation of Austria. Hitler just keeps saying, I'm not gonna, I promise, and now he's taking yet another country. So Britain and France are finally going to step up to the plate, honor the alliance that they have with Poland, unlike what they did with Czechoslovakia and just throw them to Hitler. They're going to stick up for Poland, and they're going to declare war on Germany. And now, these final acts of aggression have finally led to the Second World War. And that's where we'll leave it for now. You see clearly the failure of appeasement. You see that these things are not going to be tolerated any further, and now we've arrived at war.